Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place we discuss all things USMNT y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. Joining me once again is my co-host and Tocayo, Adrian, with that fresh shave. Adrian, what's up, man?
How's it going, dude? Yeah, I had to clean up and look nice for this week, dude. It's an important week for both the USMNT and eltri. And
Yeah,
so, I thought about it and I was like, all right, I gotta look presentable for the PPG family.
yeah. I probably should do that myself. Clean up this beard here. But Adrian, man, what we're gonna be doing is kind of giving our preview of the Nations League semifinals, as you mentioned. This week is the semifinals, a two-legged header. On Thursday, the first match is going to be the semifinal one, which is United States versus Jamaica at 6 p.m. in AT&T Stadium in Arlington, and then at the same stadium, Mexico versus Panama at 9:15 p.m. Central Time. So yeah, two back-to-back good matches there. Funnily enough, I was reading that this is going to be Mexico's 13th match at AT&T Stadium since 2009. Remember, they were the first team to play there for the opener.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Jerry Jones loves Mexico, dude. He loves having a US, sorry, not USMT, eltri match every single year.
Oh yeah. I mean, he fills it all up and a lot of money, man. I
Yeah,
don't
for
blame him.
sure.
But yeah, man, let's get right into it. Like we said, all these four countries have qualified to the semifinals, and by qualifying to the semifinals, they qualified for the Copa America later this summer. So that there's that, and we'll go start with the USA versus Jamaica, man. The first match. This is going to be the 33rd all-time meeting, which is a lot between USMNT and Jamaica. USMNT currently has a 19 win, 3 loss, and 10 draw record against Jamaica. And the last five matches have been pretty, back and forth. 1-1 draw is the most recent one back in June 2023. And then before that, in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers, 1-1 draw in 2021 of November. And then the last three matches before that have been USA wins 2-0, 1-0, 4-1. So the last, I guess, two matches have really been contested. Um, but yeah, the last loss for the USMNT versus Jamaica came in a 1-0 friendly back in 2019 June. Uh, Jamaica, man. I mean, before we kind of go analyzing what they have and what they're bringing to the table, what are your first initial reactions on them?
So I think we have said this before, and Jamaica definitely is one. To me, Jamaica is one of those teams here in Concacaf that has a huge ceiling of potential. Just given the fact that they have a very interesting pool of players that they can call up from. All those English born, but English born and English brought up, they definitely contribute to the competitiveness of that match, or sorry, not the match, but the actual team. um and but at the same time, they always choke for some reason, right? They always come close to success, and then for whatever, if it's you want to call it referees or just not having that team cohesion, they always fall short. And I think it goes, I mean, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a documentary, sorry, on Netflix about, I think, national team captains, and one of them is Andrew Blake from the keeper.
Andre
And
Blake, yeah.
one of the things that he mentions is that it's difficult for the Jamaica team to find like a middle ground between those that aren't Jamaica based or Jamaica born players, and those that are that have Jamaican heritage, but that they grew up in England, so they're for all purpose for all purposes they're English, right? They're British. So I think this is gonna continue to haunt them. I know they have a coach that is seasoned in the matter of qualifying a small nation to the World Cup. And so I guess we shall see if he's making strides with this team.
Yeah, that was the coach that qualified Iceland to
Mhm.
the Euros, no? When
I
they
think
went
so.
really
Yeah.
far, or they surprised a
Mhm.
lot of people. Yeah, no, but I agree. I mean, Jamaica has been that team that has been growing, probably the fastest grower in CONCACAF. Just hasn't been able to go up over that hump, right? That to beat
Mhm.
a USA or to beat a Mexico in an important match. They've been dangerous. We've seen them do really well in the Gold Cup, and obviously semifinal of the Nations League. They qualified for the Copa America. They'll most likely qualify for the 2026 World Cup. And they're, like you said, importing a lot of players from British origin. That's helping them grow. But yeah, that's an interesting point that you point out. How there's that team dynamic that maybe clash right between the ones that are actually Jamaican and the ones that just have a British passport. We kind of saw that in the early years back when Jurgen Klinsmann was coach for the USMNT, and he was bringing in the first couple dual nets. A lot of older players had issues with that, so that's probably the same kind of team dynamic they're currently facing. But real quick, he named his 23 man roster Halgrimson, and it's been kind of noted that this roster is very weak compared to old Jamaica rosters.
Mm-hmm.
The past year, he had called in Cadamarteri from Sheffield Wednesday, but he opted out. He instead accepted the invitation to the England U19 squad.
Jeez.
Leon Bailey, their star, Trevante Stewart, they're absent from the camp. They broke the team's curfew. They're on disciplinary probation or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan Pinnock and Amari Bell are injured. Gray and Shamar Nicholson are suspended. So it is a very, very depleted squad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with maybe, they still have players to watch for, right? They have the Fulham guy Reed, who's a very good
Yeah.
player, consistent player for Fulham. Jamal Lowe, the Swansea forward that he hasn't really played since May of 2023, but he's back and he'll probably be the starting forward. And yeah, I mean, definitely, Andre Blake, we know he's a good keeper. So it's not the Jamaica that we're used to seeing with all their stars, but definitely some players here that can hurt USMNT. But it definitely is a depleted squad, huh?
Bro, I mean, they have a Paso Locomotive player down there, dude. You better watch out.
Yeah,
You
dude.
better watch out. He's one of those. I think he's a third keeper or something like that. But yeah, no. Then this goes to I guess prove your point that this is a very weakened team. Still, they. I mean, if you go through the roster, right, most of them play the championship level or a some of them play at Turkey, if I'm not mistaken, and
Yeah,
also there's one guy that plays in I think Middle East, El Al Etikifak.
yeah. The forward,
But
Gray. Hmm.
mhm. But yeah, this is not this. I don't think when soccer fans out there, USMNT fans out there who actually follow CONCACAF and whatnot, when they see Jamaica, they expect a certain level of or I guess they expect a big challenge because of the names, right, that come from the Premier League. But this case, I don't think this Jamaica spooks anyone, dude. I mean, I don't claim to know everything about Jamaican football, and I'm running a risk of getting getting freaking roasted by some Jamaican PPG fam out there, like we did whenever we had that preview against Ghana.
Yeah.
Uh, but I mean, honestly, like, who are you afraid of, dude? Jamal Lowe, Kahim Dixon? Like, come on, man. Like, I,
Yeah.
I I'm not necessarily too worried about Jamaica right now.
No, I agree. As we kind of shift to the USMNT here, the USMNT, quick note on them: Haji Wright and Brendan Aronson replaced Josh Sargent and Luca de la Torre due to injuries. Haji Wright obviously just scored the goal to send Coventry to the semifinal of the FA Cup, and Brendan Aronson had just scored a goal himself in Union Berlin's match over the weekend. So two guys that are coming in. Don't expect them to start, but yeah, definitely. It's good that the USMNT has one for one
Yeah.
replacements that they could just bring in like that and not lose quality. Right, that's something the USMNT hasn't had in the past, really.
Hmm.
So real quick for the USMNT, I'm predicting a 4-3-3 formation with Matt Turner in the goalkeeper spot. Obviously, Scally, Richards, Ream,
Damn.
Robinson. The one question I have on this roster, I think this is going to be. I think for the most part, I nailed this starting 11, but Ream is the one question I'm not sure. Knowing Triple G, he might play Miles Robinson instead of Ream.
Come
Um,
on, man.
and, Ream has been struggling. His age is starting to show more, but play McKenzie instead of Robinson.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Um, but he favors Robinson, and I don't see him starting McKenzie. He hasn't started McKenzie in a match in a long time. In the midfield, I think it's gonna be Musa, Johnny, Cardoso, and McKinney, and then up front is Way and Pulisic on the wings with Balogun leading the striker line. Some possible subs: Gio Reyna, Tyler Adams getting some minutes, Brendan Aronson, Pepi, Christopher Lund, and yeah, man. I mean, I like we said. I mean, Jamaica in the past has been pretty difficult team to deal with and break down. But I don't see this team being as difficult, and I have the USMNT winning at least 2-0. Would you agree
I'm
with that?
surprised. I no, I agree. I think this. I don't think it's gonna be a walk in the park, but I think the USMNT can comfortably win. 2-0 sounds like a reasonable and fair score. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes above 2-0. But hey, let's hope that that is the case. What I'm surprised though is that you're putting Scali ahead of Dest, and you're also
Remember,
putting.
Dest is suspended the first match.
Oh, he's still suspended.
Yeah, for the first match.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought I was under the impression that that suspension was already gone, but good to know. I prefer Scally over Dest, if you ask me. Um, yeah, I wish that he plays Mackenzie. That's kind of a long shot. And lastly, I think he's gonna play Adams, dude. I think he's gonna fall to the hierarchias and whatever, and
Get
put
a hype.
Adams, even though we all know that he's not ready
Yeah.
for this kind of commitment. But you know, our boy Johnny. I mean, he can't. I wouldn't be so upset if he starts.
I mean, Adam said in an interview a couple of days ago that he's ready to go 50, 60 minutes. So I don't know if he's going to start, but if he does start, he'll probably just play 50, 60 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't start him, especially since he
No,
was coming back.
especially against a team as
Such a
physical
physical
as
team,
Jamaica.
yeah,
Yeah.
and fast
Hmm.
as Jamaica, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the preview for the first half, the first match. Let's move on to Mexico and Panama, man. What can you tell us about Mexico and Panama's history?
All right, Mexico Panama history. They have this is going to be the 13th appearance of Mexico at AT&T Stadium, as you mentioned. Um, you know, Jerry Jones loves Mexico. He loves all them cuz out there. He loves all the PPG family. So it's nice to see that. Where I mean, I'm not sure if it's nice, but every single year you'll see Mexico playing down there. But as a head-to-head with them, Mexico has the lead against Panama with 15 wins, 2 losses, and 5 draws. This is gonna be, I think you put on the notes the third meeting in the last 12 months. So that
Yeah,
to me seems a lot. But it just goes to show how the schedule nowadays on international friendlies or international football in general, it's it's pretty much piling up. The last 3 matches are 2 of them are CONCACAF related. So CONCACAF Gold Cup in the final, CONCACAF Nations League, and then FIFA World Cup qualifier back in February of 2022. And on the last 5 matches, Mexico has exerted dominance pretty much, winning 4 out of the 5, with the last 3 matches being a 1-0 kind of contest.
yeah,
So, I mean, you can see from 2021 to 2023, Mexico went from a 3-0 to 1-1, and then all 1-0 wins. So, this goes to show that, I mean, we say that Jamaica is one of the fastest growing nations in CONCACAF, but I think Panama also deserves a spot there. Uh, Panama over the last maybe what 4 years, 5 years have shown a huge upward trend. We all know that they probably have one squad to show up for and be competitive
right.
at CAF level. But this is also an alarming situation because this tells us that Mexico is not moving forward as we thought or as we would like the team to move.
Yeah, I mean, credit to Panama though. I mean, they have gotten better, and those results show. I mean, since that 2021 draw in the World Cup qualifying 1-1, like you said, it's been nothing but 1-0 wins for Mexico. And I mean, to Mexico's credit, they've won, right? I mean, they've been important
Hmm.
matches. The Gold Cup final, we remember that Santi goal from last year. Um, do you think, kind of going a little bit off topic real quick because you mentioned it, do you
Hmm.
think Panama and Jamaica have replaced Costa Rica and Canada as the other top two other than
Oh,
USA and Mexico and CONCACAF?
that's a hot topic, dude. Yeah, I think. Well, that is a hot topic. I personally think that if you look at history, I think maybe Jamaica definitely takes a spot over Canada because Canada only has what, one good year, or maybe one good World Cup.
World Cup cycle. Yeah.
Exactly. Right now they're in shambles, so they don't have. I don't even sure if they have a coach. Most of their golden generation is actually getting super old now. Um, so I think Jamaica for sure. Panama, maybe not yet. I'll say that this next World Cup cycle will say a lot about the state of all of these CONCACAF teams, specifically talking about Costa Rica, because Canada now it's been qualified, and we'll see how much Canada can withstand the competitiveness in CONCACAF for after 2026. But yeah, I think Jamaica for sure can take or has taken the spot ahead of these two.
Hmm. Okay. Going back to the Mexico Panama preview, the last loss from Mexico versus Panama was a 2-1 loss in the Gold Cup back in July 2013. So it's been over 10
Ooh.
years.
Yeah.
And, but Panama is on a roll the last 5 matches, man. They've haven't lost their last 5 matches, 4 wins, 1 draw, and they're playing well, man. We know Panama's coach likes to play a 3-4-3 formation,
Hmm.
and based off his roster that he brought, we could kind of predict, he's going to play Mosquera in the goalkeeper, Escobar, Cordoba, Andrade, Murillo, Martinez, Bárcenas, Carrasquilla, Diaz, Rodriguez, and Fajardo. We know a couple of these guys. Bárcenas, obviously, Mazatlan player, right? Carrasquilla plays for Houston Dynamo in MLS. He was
Hmm.
great. I think one of the best players in the Gold Cup last year.
Hmm.
Fajardo, he scored in each of the legs against Costa Rica in order to qualify for the semifinals of the Nations League. This is a team that gave Mexico a run for its money in the Gold Cup final. Do you think
Hmm.
it's going to be similar?
I think so too. I think it's going to be a tough match for Mexico. I think there's no denial that Mexico is still significantly ahead of Panama. Maybe not as much as it was in the last 10 years, but I don't think it's going to be an easy match for Mexico. I think the pressure of moving on to the final, it's huge. And just because they haven't won any of the Nations League so far, both of them have been won by the USMNT, and I think that's going to play against Mexico and in favor of Panama. And another thing that I also feel really impacts Mexico's playing style is that Panama plays really well as a unit. They All of them help each other out. They know exactly how their team member if he's gonna make a move or a route. If they have to put a through ball, and I think that specific situation affects Mexico because Mexico doesn't really know how to play as a cohesive unit. Depends a lot on what the individual talent can make, and every now and then, one spark of talent that comes from the very back of Mexico all the way to the top. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very very hard match for Mexico.
All right, shifting to Mexico here. Do you predict Jimmy? We've seen him play a 4-2-1-3, and we've seen him play a 4-3-3. You think he sticks with the 4-3-3 here?
Yeah, man, I think Jimmy Lozano for this entire year, or at least for these two big competitions, and I mean Nations League and Copa America, I don't think he's gonna make any changes. I think he's gonna stick to the 4-3-3, at least at the very beginning of the match, and just pretty much stick to his guns, dude. I think he understands that the stakes are high and that he can possibly lose his job if he doesn't do a decent or respectable job here. In terms of Nations League, he needs to reach the final. Whether he wins it or not, it's a different story. But he cannot afford to lose with against Panama on Thursday.
Yeah, so you think he sticks with his old guns? What do you think his lineup's going to be here?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to say that we're gonna see some surprises or changes, but I don't see how Jimmy Lozano is gonna make a sudden move or a whimsical change. It will be nice to see Malagon, but we all know that Ochoa is gonna be the starting keeper. I don't think he's gonna make a move on the defense. Sanchez, Montes, Vasquez, and Gallardo. They have been reliable for him over the last few matches or over his tenure as a three coach, even though they all sucked at Honduras. And for example, Sanchez is not getting any play time. Montes is on the same end. Vasquez, different story, but I don't see any changes here. Midfield, I see that his old and trusty Edson, Romo, and Luis Chavez ahead of El Chiquito Sanchez or any other player. And then lastly, I think, and this is maybe where it's going to be a little controversial because I feel he doesn't trust Santigimenez as much as he should. And I think he would rather put someone that he knows is going to match or will help him get the game style that he's looking for over having someone like Santi Jimenez. So I think he's going to play with Antuna, Henry Martin, and Irving El Chucky Lozano.
Wow, yeah. I mean that's a big statement if that's true regarding Santi. We'll see. We'll see what he does there. We, in our preview or in our reactions to the roster when he released the 23-man roster,
Mm-hmm.
we had a lot of comments saying that Luis Romo should not be getting called up. We had some people calling out that Pocho Guzman instead of Romo. Um,
Yeah,
with people said, El Toro Guzman should be called up instead of Israel Reyes as well. So, not, listeners weren't too, for the most part, I'd say, we know what we were expecting from Mexico Selección, but there was a couple that items that are, selections that listeners weren't too pleased on. And I cannot see him starting Henry Martin over Santi Jimenez being too popular with eltri fans.
I know, but I don't think that well, maybe he reads and goes over those comments, but I don't think he really cares, dude. I seriously doubt he's gonna play him, especially because he preaches this specific concept of the present, right? And what's the current form of each player. He prioritizes that over hierarchies or over any history that each player might have. Even though he was playing Raul Jimenez for whatever reason, um, so that's why I think he's not gonna risk it with Santi Jimenez. A lot of pundits in Mexico are going around saying that he already told pretty much this group of players saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna stick it with y'all. Um, you are the core of the team, and I'm gonna go as far as I can go with y'all." So yeah, man, I seriously doubt. I hope he changes his mind, and I hope he smacks me in the face and shows me that he can play Santi Jimenez. But I I don't know. I think he's closer to playing Henry Martin with Julian Quiñones rather than playing Santi Jimenez as the lone
Wow.
striker. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And one other point of interest here, Julian Araujo. You don't think he starts?
I would love for him to start, but again, I think Jorge Sanchez, for good or bad, was part of Jimmy Lozano's Olympic quest, right? And Jorge Sanchez was part of that process with him from from the under 20s to all the way to the Olympic Games. And I think he's just gonna stick to it, even though he knows that Julian Araujo is perhaps in better form, has game rhythm, um, and it could be this. We can say the same thing for Gallardo, where you probably can put Arteaga if you wanted to, but
Yeah.
I seriously doubt he's gonna make a big change, even though he probably should. You know, Speaking of subs, I do see him, subbing Henry Martin or someone for Santi Jimenez. I also see him putting Orbelin Pineda ahead of someone else, El Chiquito Sanchez, and man, who was out there, dude? I'm blanking right now. But at least those three for
Yeah.
sure. If things get pretty dark for him.
Adrian, as we wrap up this episode, what are your score predictions for this match?
I say 1-0 Mexico wins, and I'm basing this purely on stats, dude. Over the last four matches, it's been pretty close, 1-1 and 3-1 nils in a row for Mexico. So I really don't think Mexico is gonna, uh, pop it and score more than one goal, especially because Mexican strikers are not hot right now. Um, so I think it's either 1-0 or they win in penalties. I think it's going to be a very, very close match.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I think Mexico gets it done. I don't think they go to penalties. I think I was telling you before the match. I think It's gonna be a close match to like the 60th, 70th minute when Mexico scores, and then it's gonna be Panama just trying to go for that goal, and Mexico just scores on a counter like at the 90th minute, and makes it 2-0. I think it'll be one of those types of matches, but we'll see, man. This Thursday is when we'll have the Nations League semifinals. So, yeah, stick it here with PBG. We'll be doing our 6 things we learned after each match, and then we'll be doing our preview for the final, which is on the weekend. And yeah, it's going to be a good week of soccer here. At the end, man, as we
Mhm.
wrap up, where can our listeners find us, dude?
They can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Last but not least, you can also find us on Instagram. We post stuff every now and then.
Yeah, be sure to follow us and let us know in the comments below. Do you think both USA and Mexico will be making it to the final? You think another USMNT versus Mexico final is in the books for us? How do you think these matches will go? Do you think they're going to be as one-sided as I predict for the USA versus Jamaica, or as close as Adrian predicts for Mexico versus Panama? Any players you guys would like to see starting for either team? Let us know for sure in the comments. We like interacting with you guys down there. I think, man, another good episode with you, brother. Can't wait to watch the matches this Thursday. It's going to be good ones. I'll see you in the next one.
Yes, sir. Take it easy.
See you, man.
Deuce.